You're listening to Reality Derby, a Gold Derby podcast hosted by Marcus James Dixon and Denton Davidson.
Welcome, everybody, to Reality Derby episode 2. So, Denton, they always say the sequel is better than the original. Is that going to happen with us?
I think so. I think we're primed and ready to go. We got the first one under our belt and we're ready to talk traitors and a whole lot more today.
And we have a logo now. Thank you, Madison. We have an intro now. I think we're going to win an Emmy Award for this. We do. Or maybe a Webby.
Maybe, if we're lucky.
Do the Webbies still exist even?
I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's like an award show for internet crap. That's like their logo. Okay, so yeah, Traitors. We're gonna talk about episode 4 of Traitors, RuPaul's Drag Race episodes 1 and 2 because we missed it last week, and then Deal or No Deal Island episode 2, which is my new favorite show. Let's just start with Traitors. What did you think of episode 4?
For Jeremy. I mean, I didn't want him
Right.
to go. What is Rob doing? Like, I feel like we can talk about this more because we have a great interview with Jeremy that we should highlight right away. But I mean, I feel like Rob is just going a little too hard, and now he's got two of his Survivor buddies gone, and they would have stuck up for him.
Yeah, he's coming in too strong, too hard, too fast. I don't think he's gonna last in this game, Rob.
No, I don't think so either. And now Danielle's really pissed, and he doesn't know what he's dealing with there.
Yeah, and Carolyn's crying. Everyone's crying. Jeremy was crying when he was eliminated. I asked him, that was one of my first questions. Should we just run the interview now?
I think you should run the interview and then let's recap and talk about it.
Okay, here is Jeremy Collins. So, Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us today on Reality Derby. How are you feeling right now? Your big elimination episode just aired last night on Peacock.
I mean, I'm fine. I'm disappointed. I thought I was going to go pretty far in the game. Um, I never go into these games thinking I'm going to win, but I always feel like I always make the merge. You know what I mean? And I always go pretty far, pretty deep in the game. So I am disappointed, but it's whatever.
And yeah, your reaction to being murdered on the Traitors was so tearful and so gut-wrenching. What made you so emotional in that moment?
I was more disappointed in myself. I was like, what did I do wrong? Did I talk too much? Did I not talk enough? Who did I talk to that ruined my game for me? It's Survivor is so different than the Traitors because everybody has power in Survivor, and you have more power if you have idols and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
in Traitors, the Traitors have all the power. So it's kind of you're just like sitting there hoping to like not get murdered, and you're trying to figure out how to gain power in the game. So it's kind of tough. You're playing from behind all the time, you know?
Yeah, and I mean the point of the game for a faithful is to throw out names and try to get somebody, but the name you threw out, Danielle, was actually a traitor, and that ended up, I guess that was the reason you went home. Like, is there any regrets? Do you regret throwing her name out? I'm guessing not, because that's the game, right?
No, I mean, listen, you got to throw out names, you know. And when I wasn't chosen to be a traitor, I was like, all right, I'm going to get the traitors. Like that's my job. And Danielle did a few things that were like, yeah, she's one of them. Um, when I'm sitting in the car I'm with Bob the Drag Queen, Tony, Nikki, and Gabby, and I'm in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna say anything. And Bob said, can we all just get on the same page and vote for one person tonight? And that's it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm here to play. Like, let's do it. And I said, all right, I'm gonna tell you guys who I think is a traitor. And if we can all get on one vote today, do this today. If I'm wrong, don't ever listen to me ever again. You know, but I feel so strongly about this. And that's kind of where I messed up. You know, Bob kind of like, even though I had Bob's back, he
Mhm.
kind of like, he just, he turns his back on me.
So let's talk about the coffin twist. It was the three of you in the coffins. How long would you estimate you were actually inside that thing, and how claustrophobic did it feel?
And so it was longer than you want to be in a coffin, I will say. Going into the game, one of the questions was, covered in bugs or in a coffin. I said, yo, cover me in bugs. I don't want to be in a coffin, you know? But that night it was really cold. It was freezing outside. And when you got in the coffin, it was like 20 degrees warmer. You know what I mean? So it was fine in there. And I'm a firefighter, so like we kind of deal with, confined spaces and stuff. We're always crawling around and stuff, training and stuff. So like it was fine. The claustrophobia was fine.
Mm.
Um, but we were in there longer than you want to be in there. And then they nail it shut. So I
Mm-hmm.
was in there longer than Nikki and Ciara, you know what I mean? Like they all leave and I'm still in there, but it was fine. It wasn't a big deal.
So how long was it after the nail went in? Did you have to stay in there before the producers let you out?
Um, if I could say, I would say 5 minutes or so. I don't know, maybe 7 minutes. I don't
Hmm.
know. Like it was kind of weird. They did say if you are feeling claustrophobic, just give it a bang and we'll open that thing up fast. So like it wasn't a big deal.
So Nikki and Ciara claimed that they could hear some whispering, they could hear some footsteps. What did you hear from your vantage point?
I did hear footprints. I didn't hear any whispering, but you did hear footprints. You never know who it was. You just hear people walking. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything. It was you're not going to get anything out of footprints. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
didn't even try.
It could have been the sound guy or the lighting guy walking.
Yeah, it could have been anything. You know what I mean? It could have been a peacock walking by. You know what I mean? Like who knows?
So those were real. There were actually really peacocks there.
Oh yeah. Oh, those are legit. Yeah.
So
Scotland's beautiful. It's unreal. Scotland's unreal.
last week I talked to Tony and he said that on his first day, he only recognized you, Rob, and Carolyn. So I want to throw the same question out at you. How many people in the cast did you recognize? Did you say, I know who that is. I know who that is.
I didn't know. I know Rob. I know Tony. I know Rob. I know of Carolyn. I never met her, but I
Mhm.
know she's a survivor. I've seen Nikki because my wife used to watch her show on TV. So I was like, I know Nikki. Other than that, like I don't know anyone. So uh Bob H. I do remember him on his show on The Biggest Loser. I do remember way back in the day. But when they told me who he was, I was like, how much weight did you lose? Like you were on the show? Like, and then he was like, no, I was a host. I was like, oh, that was you. You know what I mean? So like, I didn't really know anybody.
Right.
I used Brittany to let me know, like, Brittany, who's that? Who's this person? Who's this? And she was like, oh, I'll let you know all about them later. Like, I have a big story on them. I have like, because she's all into that. I
Mhm.
watch sports and Survivor. That's all I watch. So I don't know anybody.
Do you think that the two survivor traders, Carolyn and especially Rob, should have protected you this week and Tony last week? Should there have been a survivor alliance, maybe just even an unspoken one?
I mean, it was not only unspoken, it was spoken. Like,
Hmm.
we should be sticking together. So I do think that they should have protected us. For Tony, it was a little tougher. Everybody was after Tony. It was kind of rough, and I was trying to save him. But once you saw like everybody was jumping on it, I was like, there's no saving him. So even when uh, Rob didn't have to jump on it.
Hmm.
He could have just let it slide. Like Carolyn voted for him, but like after a while, you just jump on board. But I do think that they should have saved me. Like I had Carolyn, we talked, we had a really great conversation. I talked to Rob, and we had a good, okay conversation. We had a fine back and forth, and yeah, I thought we were all good. So like I don't know, you're supposed to stick with your survivors a little bit, at least a little bit. You know what I mean?
Hmm. So after you left, there was this huge explosive roundtable between Rob and Bob the drag queen, and Zac Efron even got attacked at the roundtable. So
Yeah.
do you think Zac Efron is a good actor, first of all?
I don't even know, man. Like I've never really seen him act. I just know his name, man. I don't watch. I know he does like movies. I don't watch those movies. I don't know how good he is.
Uh, so what did you think of the big explosion when you watched it?
I thought it was cool. I thought the episode was great. Uh, Top 10 episode aside from me getting eliminated. I thought it was great. I thought it was great fireworks. I loved how Rob and Bob went at each other. I think I was one episode off. If I could save myself that one time, uh, I could have made it far in the game. I will say, I don't know what side I would be on if I was still in the house and they're going back and forth because I didn't think Bob was a traitor.
Right.
And I just thought that's who he was. Bob's just a lot. So and Dylan, I thought Dylan was a traitor.
Hmm.
Because there was one time, so we're walking down the hall and Dylan is smiling and laughing. And then he goes to me, he's like, "Oh, we lost our guy," about talking about Tony. And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Yo, this dude's laughing about losing." Like, I'm like, he did it, yo, he's gone. You know what I mean? Little things like that stick out in your mind, and you're like, "Oh, he's a traitor," you know? So I don't know if what side I would have been on.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. And then I said Ciara was in the coffin and didn't even try to save herself.
Right.
She's a traitor. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Dylan does kind of give me traitor vibes, and I know he's not, but I'm still like, I think I would suspect him if I was on the show.
Yeah, there was times when Dylan would say things. He had a whole story, and I was like, Dylan, that story's terrible. Like that's not a good like you're not helping yourself at all. And he had trouble voicing his opinion and communicating with what he what he thought was going on. So it was like I didn't believe him a
Mhm.
lot, and I liked him. Like day one, I was like, "Oh, Dylan's good." Like Dylan likes Survivor, and I was like, "I need that on my side." So
Mhm.
I thought we would have a good relationship, but then him and Wells, I thought they were too close. And when Wells wasn't a traitor, I was like, "Oh, Dylan is probably going to be the traitor."
What was the best thing to eat at breakfast?
Nothing. It was terrible. It
Huh.
was terrible. It was not good at all. Like the toast was cold. And I'm a food guy.
Mhm.
My wife always says this. Like I take my butter and I take my toast and butter that toast immediately so the butter melts. Because that's what sane people do, you know? So you're gonna give me a cold piece of toast and you want me to put cold butter on that thing? I can't even do that. But then I mean the hard-boiled eggs,
Mhm.
yeah, I eat that. That was fine. But like, and the fruit was fine, but the food was not great.
So, would you rather have rice on Survivor?
No, listen, I will tell you what, that the food, I like, they fed you, they nonstop in the castle. Nonstop. There's always food, there's always snacks, there's always something to eat. I lost like 35 pounds on Survivor. Like, I can't do that. That's
Yeah.
no.
Well, before we go, after you left, Alan Cumming held up your photo and he said, Jeremy has gone to live on the farm or something like that. What do you think of Alan as a host? He's so fun and he wears the best costumes on TV.
I love him, man. I love him. Him and Probe should like switch costumes and stuff. See how that works out. So yeah, I would love to see Probst on an island with like a kilt on and like a big bouffant or something. You know what I mean? But Alan's the man. Like he's so good. He's so dramatic and fun and yeah, it's awesome.
And I have to ask, Survivor 50 is around the corner. Are you interested? Are you throwing your name in the ring?
No, no. I told Jeff, I was like, listen, man, it was a good run. It was fun while it lasted. I have 100 days on the island. That's a good, nice round number.
Wow.
I'm good with that. Like I'm getting old. My body doesn't move the way it used to, you know. I told Tony the other day, I'm like, it makes me sick just thinking about sleeping on bamboo. It hurts my hips just thinking about it. Like I don't
Mm.
want any parts of that.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us, Jeremy. Have a great day, okay?
Hey, you too, Marcus. Good talking to you.
Okay, Denton, that's what Jeremy had to say after his heart-wrenching elimination in the fourth episode. What did you think? I love when he talked about the food at breakfast being terrible.
I was just gonna say, who thought it look they make it look so delicious and appetizing. Cold butter on cold toast.
And he does
Nobody
not want
wants that.
and he does not want to come back for season 50 of Survivor, which is a scoop.
Yeah, that's surprising, but I wouldn't want to sleep on the island if I already had $1 million either, probably.
Right.
What do you
So,
think about this? Because we were talking about Rob before we went into the interview a little bit, and I didn't understand like why Rob went after Bob the drag queen the way that he did without at least talking to Danielle about it first because they killed Jeremy and the reason was Danielle was very adamant we have to kill Jeremy because he said my name. So why didn't Rob just go to Danielle and say, "Listen, Bob targeted me at the challenge. He called out the three newbies. We have to get rid of him," instead of just blindsiding her because now she's really pissed.
he didn't handle her very well. He was trying to do this thing where he was like, I'm hearing Bob's name, but he's the one that's like throwing out the name, him and his buddy Dylan. Dylan, I kind of love Dylan because he's like a super fan of Survivor, so he wants to work with Rob, and so I'm rooting for those two to keep, having this little relationship. But like I just said, I don't think Rob's gonna make it very far. He's making a lot of enemies.
Wes was right on the money too. I was thinking right after that round table where, I mean, Rob just went after Bob the drag queen, and he was so adamant and sure. And
Hmm.
Wes at the end of the episode was like, "How do you know? How did he suddenly become so sure?" He's like, "There's only one way if you're also a traitor." So they're on to him, and I think it's only going to get worse. I'm curious to see who this silent assassin that Danielle and Carolyn try to drum up in the next episode are, and it's gonna get messy. And
I know. Yeah, Rob was just too confident. Like, no, you can't be 100% sure that anyone's a traitor. And the fact that he was, my red flags would go up if I was in that house. But it seems like a lot of people are just kind of there, and a lot of them aren't playing the game, which is unfortunate. There's going to be a lot of floaters this season, I feel like.
yeah.
Anyone that's not on Survivor or Wes or the Big Brother people. There's a couple others, like Dylan's playing, Tom Sandoval's playing, but a lot of people are just kind of there.
And after the round table, everyone was like, "Oh, Rob, you did it!" And Dylan's just sitting there. He'd been talking about this for like, well, I mean, it's not 2 weeks there, but I mean, 4 episodes in, Dylan has been all over Bob the drag queen, and then Rob gets on the credits.
And to be fair to Bob the Drag Queen, I don't even think what he said at the challenge was that bad. Obviously, people are going to suspect that one of the new people might be. That's what a traitor would, I'm sorry, that's what a faithful would do. So he was trying to be a faithful, and he certainly didn't mean it in the way Rob took it.
I mean,
I,
he was being a faithful, but he was throwing a direct target at Rob. I mean, there's one of three of them, so it's a pretty small pool to pull from. And Wes is onto it now. Derek was interesting because, I mean, he was all over Ciara because she didn't try to get out of that coffin. And Jeremy had mentioned that too in your interview that he thought Ciara might be a traitor because she wasn't really fighting for her life. Whereas Jeremy sat in the coffin and he was like, "Save
Mhm.
me and I'll work with you." Like basically, I'll be at I'll be at your service. Do whatever I can to stay in the game.
Ciara and Nikki got a lot of votes also at the round table. And somebody was making the point. Was it Wes that was making the point? Like, we can't just throw our votes around. We have to all solidify on one person so that they're not split. And that didn't happen. And then, Bob the drag queen was so mad at Rob that he wrote Rob's name down. That was a really stupid move because if the vote had been closer, his vote could have changed things if he had voted for Nikki or if he had voted for Ciara because he knew he was getting votes. So I don't know why he would have thrown his vote away and wasted it, whereas he could have strategically tried to put it on someone that he already knew was getting votes in the hopes that that would put them over the edge.
Yeah. And Alan was so much fun this episode. I
Always.
laughed out loud when he said Jeremy had gone off to the farm. I don't
Mm.
like for some reason I thought that was so hilarious. Um, and that was an interesting part of Jeremy's interview as well, talking about Alan. I want to see Jeff Probst in a kilt. Like
I
maybe
know.
they could have
Yeah.
a crossover episode someday. I guess it's two networks, CBS and Peacock. They're not going to work together.
I would love that. I want to see Julie Chen in there and Phil Kogan in there, Kat Deeley, bring them all in. What did you think of the coffin twist? Because last season they did the poison chalice, which was this something that had to happen in plain sight. And I think they tried to recreate it here with the coffins. It just didn't work as well. I think the poison chalice was way better.
Yeah, I think everyone would just be leery about accepting a drink from anyone at this point. I mean, if they've watched the previous episodes at all, but it wasn't as fun to watch other than Gabby catching them in the
That was
library. I mean, that really put them at risk, like all of those people in there. So Gabby's onto Danielle, and that was also hilarious, saying like, "Oh, my theory was just debunked." Like she was so easy to talk out of it, and it's like, "No, you're right. You're right. Go back."
I did love that because she was right on the money. And then at the breakfast, somebody was like, "Oh, so who actually went in the bookcase or whatever?" And Danielle's like, "Oh, I did with Dylan." And Gabby's like, "Oh, dang it!" But like you were on it. Don't give up, Gabby. Keep thinking. She's one that I'm watching out for. I think she's gonna surprise us later.
Danielle was smart to bring Dylan into it though, because she knew like he's a faithful, like let's just
Mhm.
try to bring some people under the bus with me so I don't get all the heat.
We should also talk about the challenge real fast. It was fun because of the it showed the true colors of the people, like who put their heads on top, who didn't, in order to get a shield. Tom Sandoval was very, very sassy, throwing his head up there.
All the men just racing with their heads up there, like screw the women, we don't care. Um,
I've got the list. So it was Bob Harper, Bob the drag queen, Brittany, Chriselle, Danielle, Dolores, Dylan, Rob, Tom, Wes.
that
Yeah.
takes a lot out of contention. I mean,
Yeah.
there were not this many shields before.
No, I don't think so either. And
So
it's almost like Survivor where you have two tribes and one whole tribe is safe. I mean, there was only what, 8 people eligible to be, voted out this time.
yeah. Yeah, they take out half the cast that way. Poor Bob Harper. I felt so bad for him because he was like the trainer on The Biggest Loser. I mean, this is someone who's spent his whole life being fit and part of the health and fitness world, and he couldn't get up the hill.
Hmm.
That was sad to watch.
Those heads and bodies looked pretty heavy.
Brittany is starting to come alive in the confessionals too. I loved her talking about like how she does Peloton class, and she's like, if I was writing
Yes.
my Peloton to early 2000s pop music, then maybe I'd be a little bit better at this challenge.
It's so good. Like she should be like a writer. Like she has, and she's fast too. I don't know. Has she ever thought about doing stand-up comedy? She would be so good at it. But yeah, that's the Traitors episode 4. Was there anything else you wanted to add? I can't wait to see the turret next week. Now that Rob is going to come face to face with Carolyn and Danielle. I hope they yell at him. He deserves to be yelled at. He ruined their whole Traitors little love fest that was going on. Even like just last week, he went after Tony because Tony was throwing out one of their names. Or no, no. Yeah, that's right, right?
Yeah.
And then this week he turns on one of his traitors. I don't like this. I like when all the traitors work together.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Danielle goes right after him because Carolyn's not going to say anything. Carolyn is a meek mouse. She saves it all for the confessional and then she cries about it. But Danielle, I'm curious to see if she just goes right after him or if she just plays it cool and then goes after him privately.
Mhm.
She's
Yeah,
going after him for sure.
it'll be good. I think my favorite turret moment ever was in season 2 when Parvati and Phaedra go after each other, and Phaedra's like, "Nobody likes you, Parvati."
Yeah,
It was so good.
Phaedra was so good.
Okay, RuPaul's Drag Race season 17. Wow.
Unbelievable.
We had a 2-part premiere, which I kind of like when they do this because it gives you more time with each contestant and getting to know them and everything. And we both have a favorite. Do you want to say who it is?
We have the same favorite, and it wasn't because she won. Like right when she walked out, she was my favorite one. And that was Susie too. She just made me laugh. I like her look. She's unique. She's a throwback. I loved that she tap danced and said like my 9 tapping toes or something like that.
Yeah. And the
Um,
she did the Morse code Gettysburg Address, which
yes.
I mean, sometimes RuPaul laughs when something's not funny, but that one I'm like, okay, I'm laughing with RuPaul on this. It was the best talent of all 14 queens.
Yeah. So she was fun to watch emerge. I also liked the very beginning package of the Squirrel Games, just watching them all take a cream pie to the face. I mean, that
Yes.
was hilarious.
And there were so many special like returning contestants from the past. That was really fun. It was a great idea. And who was your other favorite?
I liked a lot of them. I'm still getting to know them. I'm not in love with anyone else yet. I do like Lydia B. Collins. The B stands for butthole. I love a raunchy queen. And I mean, that's what it's all about, pushing the boundaries. So I thought she was a lot of fun.
And you like the roller skater, right? Lexi
I
Love.
do like Lexi Love. I love that she roller skated and did a cartwheel. And she thinks of herself as a grandma. Like she's like she's like 60 years old, but um
She's 33. Like, And this is really not fair because she's the oldest contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race. Are you kidding me? 33 is the oldest?
That
Come
is
on.
wild.
They need to they need to cast more diversity in terms of age on RuPaul's Drag Race. They already have diversity in other aspects of life, but let's get some 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds on there,
Yeah.
right? My other
I did
favorite.
like the talent contest though. Although I will say, oh, did you have another favorite?
Yes, I love Lucky Stars. Lucky Stars is the one who just goes all out with the costumes, head to toe, paints the face. I've never really seen somebody do this kind of look on the show before, and I can't wait to see, what she does next.
Yeah. The other thing we wanted to talk about is this like weird twist. So we got to the end, the talent competitions are over, and now there's this dunk tank where Michelle is up over a dunk tank and they have 10 chances to pull the right lever and dunk her and save themselves. So Hormona Lisa ended up losing the competition. She was on her way out the door, and then this twist comes out and she pulls the correct lever after licking it. Like that grossed me out a little bit. I was like, why are you like, do you need to lick it?
Yeah, I wouldn't have liked that. You don't know where that lever's been.
So what do you think about her being spared?
Okay. I think we disagree on Hormona Lisa. I am a early fan of hers. And I think part of that is because the other queens don't like her. And like, I just feel like she's being a little bit bullied. Not capital B bullied, but they're picking on her because RuPaul chose her at a convention or something. And I think a little bit of jealousy is going on here where they're like, well, RuPaul picked her to be on the show. Like I had to audition, I had to do all this crap, and she just gets a free pass. I think that's what's going on. I think that's why they don't like her. So I'm going to give her a shot. Her comedy show was not great,
No.
but she took a risk that some of the others didn't. I cannot stand when they just do a regular lip sync for their talent. Like, what are you doing? That is not, I mean, it's I couldn't do it, but it's not a talent that the viewers at home, I think, want to see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do want to see this, but I like when people sing live or when they tap dance or when they do like something a dance regarding their culture, something like that. I just don't like to see the lip syncs. And Harmona Lisa did something different. She did a stand-up routine, so I'm giving her extra points for that.
I mean, it's great to do something different if it's entertaining and good, but when you totally tank and it sucks, then it's not that entertaining. I'd rather be forgettable than be remembered as the worst talent, like just because I was trying to do something extra. Now, I don't dislike Hormona Lisa. In fact, I would have picked her to stay over Acacia Forgot, even though I love that name, Forgot. Um, so I'm not like mad that she stayed, but she wouldn't have been my choice to go home. But I'm a little mad that she stayed because it's just like I watched for like 3 hours and then
Uh-huh.
no one went home. It's like, okay, come on. Like, let's get this party started. Like, someone has to go. She's not going to win the whole thing. Like, we could have afforded to lose her. I wish the dunk tank was saved for someone who maybe just had a bad day. And
That's
maybe she did. I don't know. It's been 2 episodes, so. I mean, maybe she will turn it on, but I wish those safety levers would have been saved for a little bit further down the line.
Yeah, and there is one left, so now it's a 1 in 9 chance. And I mean, the chances of it happening two in a row are very, very not good. So I'm
Also,
imagining
do you think that like I mean, I feel like it's rigged. Like we don't know.
there's no way to know.
Like the lever's not actually connected to the
Right.
dunk tank. So it's like obviously the producer is back there like he's gonna push the button to drop Michelle or not.
Mhm.
So we don't know if it's legit.
Hopefully it's legit. Like
Like
hopefully the producers have said, okay, it's lever 5 and lever 6. Those are the magic ones.
it's not legit. There's no way they're like if someone picked the right one next week, they're not just going to get rid of this lever 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
And God forbid there's like another episode where no one goes home. I'll go crazy. I
But
need
you're a
motivation.
conspiracy theorist Denton over
I'm a
here.
total conspiracy theorist.
I liked the season where they had the potion and like if somebody went home and you had the potion, you could give it to them and save them. I thought that was maybe a better way to keep someone in the game. And then
Wasn't there like a chocolate bar one
there was
too?
the chocolate, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they would open it, and if it was gold, it would be they would be safe. And it was
But they already had the chocolate, right? So like they couldn't rig that. I just don't trust this lever.
right. Um, but yeah, that's our thoughts on RuPaul. There's going to be a third episode airing tonight when we record this, so we'll deal with that one next week. So before we go, we wanted to talk about Deal or No Deal Island. And what did you think of poor Sydney going home?
I mean, Sydney is such a hot mess. She did make good TV, but I mean, she was so messy and like thirsty, like just going after.
Going after David, who told them, or at least he told the audience. I don't know if he told them that he's married and has children, and she was going after him. It was a little bit uncomfortable, but she was a wild child. I loved her on the show. Um, when she interrupted the announcement at the very end of whether they would take the deal or not, she's like, "I have to say something. I just want to apologize to everybody." And they're all like, this is not the time for that. You could have done that earlier. Like we're getting ready to see what our deal is, you know. It was
Yeah,
also
it's awkward. I'm sad to see her go because I think she could have like provided some drama, but there's
Mhm.
plenty of time to go.
It was also the first time they had two people opening the cases. Ooh, exciting. CK and Lachelle, and they actually got a really good deal. It was $281,000.
And their briefcase had 500. So it was definitely a good deal for them. And after last week getting $1, it's the first time that like something actually went into the bank. So
Yeah.
it's good for the players.
And we had a new player join the show. What did you think of Will from at least they recognized him, unlike what's going on the Traitors where nobody knows who anybody is. It seems like a lot of people knew who Dr. Will was.
Yeah, except for what's her name? I'm still learning their names. Lita, is it Lita? Leet. Alexis Leet, but they call her Leet. She was like, "Who is this vampire? Why is he so pale?" She
Yeah.
didn't know who he was, but he came on like in this boat in this tux, and then he was
Mhm.
very cocky. It's like it's a little strong. I was like, "Okay, calm down,
Yeah,
Dr. Will." Like
a
he's
little
very condescending.
a little too cocky. I mean, throwing the dollar in their face, especially when he's like, the banker wants me to make you guys better players. It wasn't their fault. It was Luke's fault. And Luke's gone. Luke's the one that got them a dollar. Like, don't blame these people. They had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And as a pale person, I took offense to all those jokes about him looking like a vampire. We're alive. We're alive, okay?
Yeah, and he still has to work with these people. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just putting a big target on his back. I guess his personality and reputation are more important to him to maintain than actually winning the game. But I mean, do you think Poverty is just going to run this show? Like she's sitting really well.
I hope so. I hope it's her and David in the end. I love that they're working together. He's from Australian Survivor, she's from American Survivor, and I hope they vote Will out because he did rub me the wrong way when he came in.
Yeah. And is it um who are David and Parvati's who's David and Parvati's son? Is that
Oh, is that Dixon?
And I loved when Parvati was like, he's cold as ice. Like this this cute little guy who's like seems so lovable and adorable, and he's just like, yep, get rid of him. Like he's ready for he's like me. He's like, let's get people out of here, get this game going.
I do love Dixon. He's their son. I like Philip too, who he was Parvati's partner in this episode. And I do love how everyone knows who Parvati is, but they all think they're the only one who knows who Parvati is. So they're all keeping it secret. It's this weird thing. Like in season one, there was Rob Mariano, and so if you watch season one, you're gonna know they're probably gonna bring in somebody from Survivor or another reality show. So why hasn't she come out and just told everyone I'm from Survivor? Like it's this big secret that everyone knows.
Or why don't they talk to each other? What is their like slow time like? Are they hanging out all day or I don't know how that I don't know what the production is like behind the scenes of this show.
Maybe they're catching fish or something.
But it was a fun episode.
I can't wait to see, what happens next. All right, so yeah, that is our show for episode two. And Denton, do you want to tease who we have for episode three of Reality Derby?
we have Kat Deeley, five-time Emmy nominee for So You Think You Can Dance, and she has a new reality show called Joe Schmo. And it's kind of like jury duty, where this guy is in this reality competition game, and everyone's an actor except for him. So he doesn't know it, and they just keep rigging it to make it as hard as possible for him. So even Kat is like a fake host, and they all have to sort of ad lib around him. So it's going to be really fun. And it's not a knockoff of Jury Duty. I mean, Joe Schmo was an original show that actually aired back in like 2003 or something, like over 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And then they had a couple other seasons later on, but this is just sort of bringing that back, and it looks like a lot of fun. So we'll talk to Kat about that.
I remember watching the first season when I was in college, and I remember loving it. So I can't wait to see the new one. And also,
Kristen, you know who was on in the cast as one of the fake players in that original show was Kristen Wiig before she was on SNL.
I did not know that.
Yeah, really cool.
That is cool.
I don't know if
And
that show's streaming. I'd love to go back and watch it now, knowing that, because I just learned that while I was sort of doing
Mhm.
research before I talked to Kat, but it'd be fun to go see Kristen Wiig and Joe Schmo.
That's a hard show title to say. Joe Schmo Show.
I
Joe Schmo.
know. Oh, I screwed it up a couple times talking to her. I was like the Joe Schmo.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next week.